the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting Drekki Flynt, the new character from the Arkanauts Oath by Guy Haley. It's a Black Library miniature. I really love when they do these, and I'm very excited to paint this guy. He's fantastic. Just really love this miniature. I think it looks amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop waxing lyrical about this inimitable Sky Captain and lovable rogue and his swashbuckling adventures. And what we're going to do is we're going to start painting him. Now, he's been primed in grey sear, and the colour we're going to be using first is Stormfiend. And we're going to be using this on all of Drekki Flynt's bluish armour. So we're just going to load up our brush here. We're just going to pick a place to start. Now I'm just going to start just here on this kind of central plate. I'm just going to get that Stormfiend all over, just like that. It was a little bit heavy there, no matter, we can just use the brush to move that paint around and pick up that excess, like that. Now I recommend having the box art in front of you, so that you know where these armour plates are, because he's a little bit of a fiddly miniature, because he's a tiny dwarf, and you just want to be very careful as you go around. But at this early stage, if you do make any mistakes, you can just tidy it back up with some grey sear. It's one of the main reasons for doing it in grey sear, because we don't have a white scar base paint, unfortunately, for tidying up mistakes. But otherwise, you just want to go around like this, picking out all of these areas, and then once that's done, we'll come back.
And as always, a massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this early to review and paint up for all of you.
So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this to all of his underclothes, to his trousers and his shirt. Just like this. You don't need loads on your brush here as you do this. Stick to the tip. You don't want to overload these details. You don't want like really dark brown patches. That kind of thing just there like that is absolutely perfect. You just bear in mind that there is the odd strap hiding here and there. Like that one going across the arm, holding the elbow pad on. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some GARAGHAK'S sewer. I'm going to use this to paint in all of our light brown leather. Now, this is going to be areas such as the gauntlets, pouches, and things you've got on the back. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion. I'm going to use this to paint in the rest of our leather details. There's going to be areas such as his belt, any little straps. He has, for example, the ones going across the inside of the gauntlet there and across the arm. like that. We're also going to use this on the back part of the boot that we haven't done. There. Like so. We're also going to use this on the pipes. Running around his body. Like that one there. And this one here. So with that now done, you should have a Drekki Flynt that looks somewhat like this. So what we're going to do is move on to all the white details. Now, I've gotten a bit of Stormfiend on some of these white details, but that's okay. That's kind of like additional shading because we're going to be doing layering up later. However, if you're not going to be doing any layering up or any highlighting on the model, you would want to tidy these up with some grace here. But honestly, it'll be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Apothecary White. I'm going to use this for all of the white details. So this is going to include his beard. It's going to include all of those white iconography sections around his armor as well. So you just want to get this all over all of these details. Just like this. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to start work on all the metallics, and there are a lot of them. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take some thinned down Leadbelcher. I'm going to use this to paint in all of the silver details. Now the majority of these details are silver, but there's various little bits of brass and gold hiding all the way around the miniature. So as per usual, I would recommend having the box art in front of you. However, we are going to be painting all of the trim. For example, we're going to be painting in this tabard, for lack of a better word, like that. We're going to be colouring in all of the kind of mechanical details of the weapon. So for example, the barrels just here on this gun. Like that. And areas such as the kind of handle and things like that. There's a lot of silver, honestly. I'll show you all of it in the next clip. So with that silver all applied all the way around, as you can see, there is a whole lot of it. I did promise. What we're going to do now is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. I'm going to use this to paint in just a couple of details. There's not that many gold ones. So we're going to be painting in the knee pad just here. Like that. We've got the little face up here as well. We're going to paint him with the gold. Like so. Make sure to do both sides, of course. And then we're also going to be painting in the jewellery in his beard. And it goes all the way around there. We're also going to be painting in the gun. And so with that now done, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Runelord Brass. We're going to use this to paint in pretty much all of our remaining, in fact we are going to use this to paint in all of our remaining metallic details. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Flesh Tearer's Red. I'm going to use this to do two little details. We've got the cable up here on the harpoon. Like that. And we've got this little cloth just here as well. And so with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to use this to paint in Drekki's face and head. So with that done, all of our base coats are now on, so now it's time to add some shades. And the first one we're going to add is Guilliman Flesh. And we're going to be doing this over all of our Retributor Armour and Runelord Brass details. We want this to be a really nice strong shading here. Stronger than what we would get from, say, Cadian Flesh shade, because we're looking to basically overall change the tone of our gold and Runelord Brass areas. So I'll get this all over these details. Just like this. And so with that Guilliman Flesh applied, we're then going to shade all of the silver and the red and the white beard. And the colour we're going to be using for that is Nuln Oil. And we just want to get this all over these details. Just like that. Similarly, as I said, we are going to put this over the top of the white beard as well, just to really create some really strong recesses over the top of that Apothecary White. You don't need loads to do this bit here, just be very careful you don't overload too much. Like that. You just want to go over all of these details, and then once that's done, we'll come back. So with that done, Drekki Flynt is now what I would call a war hipster battle ready, and he looks fantastic. However, we're not going to leave it there. No, we are going to take him to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some highlights. Now the first one we're going to add is some thinned down Caledor Sky. I'm going to be using this on all of the blue armour, just picking out all of the edges. Now it's a very subtle edge highlight. It's going to add a little bit of warmth into those edges, which is exactly what we want. And so with that Caledor Sky applied, we're then going to take some Lothern Blue. I'm going to use this to add a little spot highlight on the sharpest points of all of his armour. So for example, just up here, we're just going to pick out the corners just like that. So with that done, all of our blue armour is now finished. So what we're going to do now is move on to the white. And the colour we're going to be using is Corax White. And we're just going to be using this on basically to relayer, as mentioned before, all of our white details. Just like this. And we're also going to include at this time his beard. So with that done, because we've started on the face now with the beard, what we're going to do is we're going to finish it off. And the colour we're going to be using first is Catachan Flesh. And what we're going to do here is we're basically going to relayer all of his skin with the Catachan Flesh, whilst just avoiding any of the darkest recesses. Created by the Cygor Brown. Just like this. So with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Mournfang Brown. I'm going to use this to pick out the sharpest details on his face. So we're going for areas like his scar coming down here, his eyebrows, his nose, his ears, and his cheekbones. And so with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take a tiny amount of Gorthor Brown. I'm going to use this on the sharpest points of Drekki's face. So we're going to go for the tip of his nose and the bridge of it just there. I'm going to pick out the kind of corners of his eyebrows. And so with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take a tiny amount of Black Legion. I'm going to use this to paint in Drekki's eyeballs. And so with that done, we then just want to take the tiniest dot of Screaming Skull. We just want to add it in the corner of his eye. Just there. Like that. So he's looking out this way. And this one's, well, lost. Still sticking with the Screaming Skull, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to some slightly more comfortable highlights. I'm going to be using the Screaming Skull to highlight the paper just around here, as well as his shirt and his trousers. Just picking out the edges, just like that sort of thing. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. We're going to use this to highlight all of our black details, picking out all of the details all the way around the model. So with those black details now highlighted, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Baneblade Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight all of his leather. So with that done, we're now going to move on to the metallics. Now, the colour we're going to be using first is once again Leadbelcher, and we're going to be using this to essentially brighten up the metallic areas. Now this area just down here, we're going to leave that because we want that to be really, really bright. Same for stuff like around the armour, for example. However, on the rest of him, we're going to reuse this Leadbelcher now to essentially just brighten him back up, just avoiding anywhere where the shade has really settled. Just like that sort of thing. Similarly, around here on the weapon. Just like this. So with that Leadbelcher applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Ironbreaker, and we're now going to use this to relayer the brighter areas. So for example, this section just down here. Again, just avoiding any of the recesses, like that. And then we're also going to use this to highlight all of our silver in general. Just like that sort of thing. So with that done, what we need to do is we need to add a little bit of blue into some of the areas. And what we're going to do is we're going to take some Tyran Blue, not very much of this at all. And we're basically just going to do a couple of recess shades with it. And we're just going to add some around the rune. Just here, I've got a little bit too much on my brush there. Just going to add some blue just in there. Like that. I'm going to add some around the recesses and the rivets on this little area just down here. And similarly, I'm going to add some more of the Tyran Blue around the rune on the other side. Like that. We can add just a tiny amount of it towards the tips on the axe. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to move on. We've got one more highlight left to do on the silver. However, we're not going to do it just yet because it's going to be the final spot highlight. It's going to be the same final spot highlight across all of the metallics. So we have to get the rest of them up to the same level of ship-shapedness. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Runelord Brass. I'm going to use this to relayer all of our Runelord Brass areas. Just like this. We're not going to be doing this on the gold. We just want to get this down on these areas like this. And similarly to the Runelord Brass, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. We're going to use this to relayer all of the gold. And so with that done, we're then going to take some Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all of those gold details. Just like this sort of thing. And so with that done, we're then going to take some Canoptek Alloy. I'm going to use this to highlight our Runelord Brassy areas. Any of the hard edges. So with that Canoptek Alloy applied, all that's left to do is to take some Stormhost Silver and add this as our little spot highlight across all of our metallics. So, for example, any tips of the blades, any sharp corners, anywhere that you really want to draw attention to. Just like this. So with that done, Drekki Flynt himself is now finished. However, we do have one thing left to do, and that is the red on him, but we're not going to do the red until we've done the tentacle that he is standing upon. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Doomfire Magenta and Contrast Medium. We're going to apply this all over the top part of our tentacle. You want to just pick a place to start. I'm going to start around here by the wound. We're just going to start painting this all over. Just like this. So with that done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Carroburg Crimson, some of the new one, and what we're going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of the kind of inner flesh. Like that. And we're also going to apply this over the top of the top half of the tentacle. So with that done, just whilst we're waiting for that to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Morghast Bone. I'm going to use this to add that kind of softer, fleshy colour to the underside of the tentacle. However, we are going to leave some strands of the previous colour, Doomfire Magenta, in between the recesses. So you just want to skip over. It might take a couple of thin coats. You just want to go around it, just like this. So with that Morghast Bone applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some thinned down BUGMAN'S Glow. I'm going to thin it down just a little bit more than we would normally, so sort of 2 or 3 parts water. And what we're going to do is we're going to start applying this over the top of the pinkish areas. So with that Bugman's glow applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Cadian Fleshtone, and we're going to use this to pick out all of the little boils. And so with that done, we are then going to once again use some Carroburg Crimson, only this time I'm going to thin it down with a little bit of water, and we're just going to apply this over the top of all of the flesh, just trying to avoid anywhere where we've added that Cadian Fleshtone. Just like this. We are also going to add this over the top of the areas that we've added the Morghast Bone to, just to blend them into the scene just that little bit more. So with that done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take a little bit of Flesh Terror's Red, and we're going to apply this to this kind of, I guess, sort of the fat, just around here like this. Like that. And we're also going to apply this over the top of the blood. And with that done, we're then going to take a little bit of Skeleton Horde. I'm going to apply this around the bone. Like that. Just whilst we're waiting for that to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're going to paint this over the top of the rock that Drekki is standing upon. And so with that done, we're then going to take a little bit of blood for the blood god. I'm going to apply this over the wound. Just like that. And so with that done, our kind of final flourish here is to take some pink horror. I'm going to use this to add a couple of little highlights here and there on the tentacle and in amongst all the wounds. So for example, just around the subcutaneous fat is what I've decided is what it is. Like that. We're going to do this around some of the edges on the tentacle.
And so with the base complete, Drekki Flynt is now finished, and this was a pile of fun to do, including the bonus Idoneth Deepkin tutorial on the base. Just a lot of fun to paint this guy up. I don't know anything about him yet. I'm really looking forward to the Arkanauts Oath. I'm going to buy that immediately and I'm going to read it. Just really excited, just because the model's fantastic. Really love it. Really awesome job from Games Workshop bringing this model to life, and we don't even know who he is yet, but we will soon. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you can now become a YouTube channel member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, exactly like these awesome folks have done. And if you just want to shoot me a little thanks just because you really love this video, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.